My fellow Americans, good evening, and welcome back to 12 Takes. I'd like to begin tonight by giving a genuine mention and grave thanks to the true supporters that have stood by this podcast, not only the podcast, but as well as the coalition as a whole. And you guys have supported this mission now, and I know that you will support this mission all the way to Washington. I thought it was wise to begin tonight by speaking a little bit about the leave of absence that Declan and I took on 12 Takes, but also the coalition um, on our media presence day on and day off. Um, I think it was in everyone's best interest that I and the leadership of the coalition took a minute to step back and reassess not only the purpose of the coalition, but also the ways that we could be most effective and successful. This is, as you can imagine, not an easy thing. It's very stressful and takes a lot of time and effort. And there are only a few of us, but I had grave, grave hope and faith in this mission that we are pursuing. And I know that this is not only going to be three or four of us, but in a couple years' times, a mission and a sense of resonance that will spread across this country. And so tonight, I continue to ask all of you for not only your pledge support, but that you continue to spread the word. Share 12 takes with your friends. Share the Instagram next up underscore coalition. Our TikTok with the same tag that we are starting. Um, and like I said, just so excited to get back to this. Um, and join the fight to usher in the new era of politics, as Declan and I love to say. So, Declan, shall we get to it?
Yeah, before we kind of go on with our next little mini topic, I gotta say, a lot of this is on me. I recorded an episode with Alex Stepp, who's a great friend of me and Isaiah's, and I never got around to editing it, even after my football season ended. So, I mean, that's on me. I screwed him. So, we're gonna have him back on. It's gonna be a good episode, and I'm really excited for the future of Tall Takes.
Shout out Alex. Shout out Alex. That he'll be back on soon.
Absolute legend.
All right. We got a lot to talk about today, guys. But first, I think it's most important. Some of the things that we've missed as of recent. The government shutdown. Declan, how are we feeling?
It's kind of crazy to say that like, the start and end of the shutdown happened while we were gone, but um, first the start of the shutdown and the end. I just gotta say, why, as Democrats, are you gonna let the government shut down if you're gonna fold anyway? I I have my own problems with folding. I think these ACA subsidies, like these are things that the American people need, but just taking that not into account. You let the government get shut down. You let people not get paid. You let SNAP benefits end for a time, and now they're still just starting back up. You're making your military even more hate your own government even more. It's ridiculous. So that's what I call direct distraction from the Epstein files.
Look, I can't say enough about that, man. And just as you mentioned, while it was only eight of the Senate Democrats who, and as Declan referred to, the end of the government shutdown was a cease, a folding, if you will, of eight Senate Democrats and a couple independents that caucus with the Democrats, agreeing to reopen the government based on a promise. This is the same party. This is the same party that when January 6th was happening, they were promising Speaker Pelosi, we will get articles of impeachment filed up the next day. Just help us be safe. Just help us hide under these desks. And they folded to a deal on a promise that in December, in a couple days, the Republicans would talk about, just talk about drawing up a resolution to extend the ACA subsidies. For those of you that don't know, the Affordable Care Act subsidies that are expiring this year. It is it's an unfortunate and I think very avoidable situation. And as you mentioned, why let the government shut down in the first place if they had this idea in the back of their mind? Like people don't understand. People just, oh, the government shut down. Well, these crooked politicians in Washington, D.C., it's not just the title shut down. It's not just that the government turned the lights out. It is millions of Americans. already struggling in this economy to go paycheck to paycheck to supply their family with food every day. It's now government employees being without pay. Families scrapping by even more. And our government, the Republican majority in the House, get this. We often talk about this on the channel. The Republicans have a three House majority. And Speaker Mike Johnson let his majority go on a break for 8.5 weeks. And I think what's even worse is, I follow a lot of um, Democratic politicians on Instagram, and all I could see was they were making videos. Oh my gosh, we can't find any Republicans in the House. Oh my gosh, where are all the Republicans making, Instagram reels? These are our politicians. Um, and I think it's time that we really start discussing turning the lights out on Washington, D.C. This is our whole mission as a coalition is to turn the page on old leadership. It's time we really start having serious discussions about what the hell is going on in Washington. I'm blown away by this. I I
Yeah,
I, I have no
I think
idea.
that perfectly leads into our next topic, really.
Hmm.
Um, Shining a light on what's going on in DC. Um, Also, while we're away, I mean, it's crazy because we're recording this on the 22nd. This will probably be up on the 23rd. But in the past week, the Epstein emails were released. I believe it was around 10,000 emails released. Um, there was something on a bit of a lighter note. The email that Jeffrey Epstein sent the emails from was something like absolutely ridiculous. Like Epstein vacation or something like that.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
and a resolution to release the Epstein files was passed. So let's let's just get into it. And the Epstein emails, we find out that Trump, there's no soft way to say this. Um, Trump gave someone named Bubba, which was a nickname for Bill Clinton, um, oral sex. So, um, my immediate reaction to this was I was talking to my dad and I was like, man, isn't it weird that Trump's our first gay president? Um,
You would be surprised the amount of people that I have heard make that joke.
yeah. Yeah, no. But that's there's some info involving Putin in those emails. Um, but this is where we 100% knew through an officially released government document, besides the letter that Trump sent to Epstein. I believe it was the other way around, actually. That was about that was a few months ago, if I'm not wrong. But Trump knew for sure. It's basically said verbatim by the Epstein himself that Trump knew about the girls at the Epstein Island. So that leads us in to now, where a House resolution was passed to release the Epstein files. And me and Isaiah were talking last night, and like I don't see a reality where House Republicans, out of the goodwill of their heart, after campaigning against it for almost 9 months now, actually release a fully um, undoctored and fully complete version of the Epstein files. Um, if you guys are on Instagram a lot and you follow politics on Instagram, you've probably seen that graphic of the headline is the Epstein files, and then there's a bunch of blacked out information. The only words left are Donald Trump is a great man, something along those lines. That's about how the Epstein files will look like. Um, I mean, Isaiah, where do we go from here? Because I think we know that, like, It's not going to be the full files. There is going to be mentions of Trump, but it's not going to be nearly everything. It's not going to be the truth, is basically what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. And that's the real question, right? Is where do we go from here? I spoke to a friend the other day at school. I got a message. I had put on my notes, on my Instagram note, a caption, "The Epstein files are actually getting released." And the more I thought about it, I was like, redacted info is getting released with the title of Epstein files. And literally when that thought came across my brain, I got a text from Instagram notification saying they'll never get released from a friend of mine. The government wants to keep telling the American people, "Oh my gosh, they're getting released." And for the past month, we've been told they're gonna get released. They're gonna get released. First, though, first it was Attorney General Pam Bondi saying they'll never be released, and Patel saying, we're standing by the DOJ, they'll never be released, but we're handling everything. Um, to now, to a couple weeks ago, Trump fighting House Republicans on voting for this resolution. To now, we're sitting in the place where Trump is saying, "I will sign the bill into law if it comes across my desk." And we've had intel. Um, we've had intel that apparently the House has already sent, excuse me, the Senate has already sent because they voted on this resolution as well. Have already sent that document over to the White House for him to sign, and it's apparently somewhere in his office. Um, so I agree. I think the real question is where do we go from here? My perspective is I think this is going to be delayed heavily. I think that there is going to be some back and forth from Congress and the White House on where this resolution actually is. Is it in the White House somewhere sitting in a pile of papers? Is it in the Senate's bin to send to the White House? Who's lying? Who's not? In that case, we probably know who's lying. Um, and I think that you're going to get to a place where the president is going to say, "I'm vetoing this bill," and there's going to be amazing outrage, and he's going to say, "This does not give enough. This resolution the Senate passed, the House went through. It's not releasing enough." You know, I wanted to release the full Epstein files because he was a disgrace. And actually, I knew him, but I only cut him off from my club once I realized who he really was. All those videos they have of me laughing with him, it's just because I didn't know him entirely. The minute I found out what he had, I got rid of him and I kicked him out of all my clubs. So I think you're going to be seeing a lot of things that are remotely ironic from President Trump, and I think he's going to try to, as he always do, shake up the bottle. I think he's going to try to figure some way to back himself out of this. Um, and as we talked about in our small episode yesterday, you had a vote in Marjorie Taylor Greene who was resigning effective in January. Republicans are screwing themselves. They are pissing their pants right now because they're trying to figure out, "Oh my gosh, we need to get her replacement as soon as possible because we don't have the votes to do anything we want to do." And now the Democrats are going to keep stringing Epstein, Epstein, Epstein. I think it'll be interesting to see what the next couple months look like.
Yeah. Especially with the resignation of Marjorie Taylor Greene, I think if the Democratic Party as an organization had any balls, or if they were even really smart, the for the next what is it, 30 yeah, no, 40 something days, they should be saying every single day that Congress is in session, we're going to press the Epstein files. That's not really as possible in the House because of the Rules Committee, but in the Senate, there should be the debate every single day. They should be trying to bring up the Epstein files. And if they don't, then, I wouldn't be surprised because a lot of people in politics, a lot of people in DC, no matter their political alignment, even though they tend to skew to the right, for the people who are on the list, um, yeah, they're on the list. So it wouldn't be surprising if there wasn't a decree to say, okay, let's press the issue, but it's strategically the right move.
And my thing also on that point is like we sit here and we say that, but also even the people who aren't on the list, what do we expect of them? We just saw eight Senate Democrats on a promise concede their standard. So it's like the people we have faith in are also the ones with zero spine. So it's like we have to kind of that's what we would do. right? Or that's what we think good people who we could send to Congress, these people who are potentially running as replacements in the midterms, that's what we think they should do. For the people who are already there, we're like, we just hope for the best because it's like you're either corrupt as hell or you're spineless as hell, you know, and there's very few that sit in the middle. I'd like to
Mm.
move on to our next topic, something that is really has a personal sentiment with me, is the recent ICE aggression. Um, and ICE aggression has been something really, really personal to me. Not only because it's been in the South more often, in North Carolina, Georgia, as of recent, my home state, I've seen a lot of people living in the Forsyth area, which is about a couple, probably about 20, half an hour from Atlanta. Um, it's been something that has been really atrocious. There's something to be said about protecting your borders and having a border control. It's another thing to be anti-immigrant. It's another thing to persecute people because of the color of their skin or the language they speak. And anyone who had any recent, debate on what is Trump's immigration policy, people who could tell me before, oh, he's running on a strict border policy, but he's going to do it legally. By the way, I didn't believe that in the first place because he's a felon, but whatever. People who were trying to convince me of that before, you have no reason to open your mouth. There has been a complete lackluster of due process in this country. Every three reels on my Instagram, I see a little Hispanic boy being pushed into concrete, head facing the ground. I see mothers and grandmothers being stripped out of cars, ICE enforcement breaking windows with a sledgehammer and pulling people out by the window because they refuse to open the door. These people are being taught their rights. I mean, scrolling on whatever they can find on social media, on their web pages, trying to find their rights or hearing from their rights from other people, their constituents, family members, friends. And so I'm a good friend of mine, Ira Robertson, who we've had um, on 12 Takes, the vice president of the coalition, has mentioned to me very several times. A country without borders is not a country. I understand that. But there are humane ways to do things. And also, my thing is, I seriously want to bring up this conversation. I'm sorry, I'm talking your ear off, Declan, but I do want to bring this quick point up. I want to bring awareness to the fact that we are only trying to defend our southern border. Bill Clinton in 1996, 97, correct me if I'm wrong, passed NAFTA, which was a trade agreement between Canada, Mexico, and the United States. And it was supposed to be the big trade agreement of the century. It was supposed to be an alliance not only between trade deals, but strengthening relationships between the three countries in North America. Trump has recently put a 45% tariff on Canada, invited Carney to the White House twice, but always talks his ear off about how his country is so bad, he's an okay leader. Our relationships have been worse. They've been great. They've been worse again with Canada. Where have our relationships been with Mexico? I can't really speak because I don't have credible information on that about the Biden administration and its relationship with Sheinbaum. Um, but I want to touch on why we're only wondering about stopping immigrants who have darker skin tones.
Yeah, I mean, just gonna say
It, we're
that.
not we're not
I
busy defending the northern border.
Yeah,
Like
there's a kind of a few points within that, but because of time restrictions, we won't really get fully into that. But we mentioned when we were having our last episode with Nina how they admit ICE admitted, literally admitted that they're racially parifying people. So
it's
the reason we
it's a
don't care about the northern border is because people coming from the northern border are white. That's
and
just
it's
it's just
so
calling a spade a spade.
yeah, it's but it is a spade, and that's the situation we're in. But it's so devastating. Like I'm being taught right now, and I've had friends being taught in U.S. history and world history what it may. of all of these huge surpluses of immigrants coming in the 1900s through Ellis Island, through Angel Island in California. And while there was this stench of nationalism and not wanting to bring other people, they were quickly admitted and they proved they worked hard. And Eastern European immigrants were treated fairly well after they were admitted into the United States. Um, and that time, the Truman administration and what have you, other administrations in that era had a very fairly relaxed immigration enforcement. As long as you weren't sick and you weren't a criminal, they pretty much let you in. Now it's like, oh my gosh, we can't have one more person in this country. And it's just, I think that if you really wanted to fix the immigration problem, which they don't want to do, they want to ship millions of people out of the country. If you really wanted to fix the immigration problem, maybe we should start having a citizenship discussion, asylum discussion, instead of just trying to kick. How about we fix the system and level the playing field? That's just my personal take on that. And the aggression and nasty racism rhetoric has just got to stop. It's not who we are. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is who we are. And our country is just so far down that path, but I refuse to believe that there are not good people out there who genuinely care about fixing the system.
Yeah. Um, it's said all the time, but we are a nation of immigrants. Even though I am probably the whitest person I've ever met. Um, believe it or not, my dad is an immigrant. He was born in South Africa, which, there's a lot of white people in America who were born in South Africa. But um, immigrants do the jobs that Americans don't want to do. So there is no question of the value that immigrants, legal or not, of the value that they have. There are two specific places I want to touch on when it comes to ice aggression, though. Um, Oregon, more specifically Eugene and Portland. I thought the Portland one, along with Trump sending the National Guard, I thought that one was like funny in kind of a horrific way because like the people in Portland when the National Guard arrived, they were just like riding around naked on bikes. I thought that was pretty funny. Um, but something not funny at all is in North Carolina, where like you see all these horrific videos of like people know what ICE does. Like it's no longer we no longer live in a world where like um misdeeds go unnoticed because unless you're the president, where misdeeds go unnoticed because they're on video. So in school districts and like literally in places of work, even if they're in like, even if it's a job that typically mostly naturalized Americans are
Yeah.
have, they're like completely locking down. They're treating it like the shooters trying to come in the building because that's the reality. They are ICE agents are literally as threatening to people as shooters are.
I genuinely, you touched that on is like, it's become so life threatening. And I mean, yes, life threatening is in you might lose your life, but like everybody's day-to-day life has been altered. We are now afraid, and I say we as in essence Americans, but specifically immigrant communities are afraid. They say, "Oh no, ICE is in our town." I guarantee you, before the Trump administration, if you said the word ICE, they'd be like, "Oh no, no, thank you. I just want a cold drink." Or people didn't even know what ICE was, and then they started making a name for themselves, not a good one, and now everyone knows what ICE is. And I think it's just been it's been devastating. It's been devastating. I want to kind of alter the tone because we've had a lot of devastation, as we do when we talk about the Trump administration and the current state of America. But thankfully, a little bit of good. National sweep. The Democrats, and one said Democratic Socialist, had a national sweep a couple weeks ago. Cheryl in New Jersey, I would love to hear your thought process on her and your state. Abigail Spanberg in Virginia, and Zora Mondani. In New York City, that's been one that I've heard everyone talk about. We have to talk about his meeting at the Trump administration, at the Trump White House, excuse me, yesterday. Um, but let's start New Jersey. Let's start up north. Governor Sherrill.
Yeah, I'm a New Jerseyan, so I was pretty proud of this one. But um, I am not. I'm someone who I don't have plans to stay in New Jersey long term. So I don't believe it's my right to have a huge say on government at the state level. But what I do know is that Chitterelli would have made this state, New Jersey, from one of the best, arguably the best, to middle of the pack or one of the worst. Because I think the it's still surprising me that people don't know that one of his slogans was Blacks for Jack. See, in other nations, like saying the word blacks, that's not anything offensive. But in America, and a guy born and raised in America should know that blacks literally only has a racist connotation. Um, so no surprise why he didn't win there. But uh yeah, Mikey Sherrill, she was a good candidate. I had a lot of the same issues with her campaign that I had with Kamala's campaign, where she didn't really focus on what good she was going to do, and she kind of went after the enemy. But um, you know, Jack Ciattarelli is not as good of a speaker as Trump is. He's not as persuasive, so ended up working out. I'm happy it did. No, I do know some people in person who probably aren't so happy about it, but
Hmm. That's interesting. That's a great perspective. I kind of want to touch on Spenberger a little bit. I have family who lives in Virginia. Um, I kind of saw her not only as and likewise with Cheryl as like purple candidates, and not as in the fact of like they were a purple candidate. They obviously ran as Democrats, but they were able to win some conservative vote in the way that they went about campaigning, which I think is going to be something that whether it's good or not, we're going to see more of it because I think at the gubernatorial level. I want to clarify with that because I don't think the Democrats in Congress have learned. They need to wake up and learn. I don't think they've learned yet, but I do think in the gubernatorial races, I think we're going to see specifically in the ones in my state that are coming up and across the country. I really hope we have someone that is other than Greg Abbott in Texas. I can't speak enough about that. But also in California as well, there's a lot of gubernatorial races coming around. I think we're going to see more purplish candidates that come across that are going to try to win some conservative votes, and I think that that might be a good thing. Um, Mamdani, I want you to touch on this one specifically because I know how much you love Mamdani. I just want to start off saying, please let's stop the nasty rhetoric. I wish we would have been on earlier weeks to talk about this, but I just want to touch on this because my grandmother came into my house yesterday and she saw me watching the interview um, with Mamdani and President Trump at the White House yesterday. We will touch on that in a bit, but she spoke about, hey, what do you think about Mamdani? And I said, I think he's a really great candidate. I think that, I don't agree with everything he says, but I think that he's a down to earth, good person, good quality candidate who wants to see real change implemented in New York City. And I think that he has a lot of great ideas that are going to work out contrary to what people believe. Um, and she goes, yeah, I think it's really disgusting how people can't um, accept the fact that he's Muslim. She mentioned to me how she talked to people here in Georgia, which again is a red state, who constantly say, "Oh, that Muslim one, that Muslim in New York City, that Muslim communist Marxist," because I hear the president,
Zoran Mamdani did not do 9/11. He was a child. He was a
and
child.
and
This
that
is
is the
the most
rhetoric.
ridiculous rhetoric ever.
It's ridiculous and it's insulting, gravely insulting. It's like we can't accept. And I want to touch on this before I let you speak. I want to give some respect to President Bush in this. I listened to his address to Congress after 9/11 happened, and he mentioned our enemy. And like I said, I agree with Bush a lot. I mean, I disagree with Bush on a lot, excuse me, but I got flipped up there. I disagree with President Bush on a lot, but I want to give him credit for this seriously. He says our enemy is not the Muslim people. Our enemy is not the religion of Islam. It is extremist, as is our enemy Christian nationalists and extremists, as is our enemy Hindu nationalists and extremists. We do not like extremists. And I want to say that and reiterate that because it is ridiculous that a man who is a Muslim, a very good one at that, a good down to earth human, cannot be accepted as the mayor of the greatest city in the nation and arguably the greatest city in the world because he's a Muslim.
Yeah. I'm sure everyone's seen the tweet by now. It was this AI generated image of the Statue of Liberty with a burqa on it because like this is what NYC is turning into. And then it's just the
Ridiculous.
response. The response is like a photo of Zoran Mandani and his wife, and it's like his wife doesn't exactly dress super conservatively. So I don't know what people are fearing here, but you know, uh, tri-state area. So um uh Mamdani, I think you great candidate. One of the better campaigns that
For
one of the
sure.
better, if not one of the best campaigns um of the 21st century. Uh, as you said, there are some policies that will work. I think a lot of his policies will work. There are some, I think, realistically, are not going to work unless they're implemented at a national level.
Yeah. Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, everyone's heard about Mamdani, but this is a hot button issue as this happened yesterday as we're recording this. What the fuck is going on with Trump and Mamdani?
I genuinely, I want to give a perspective that I didn't mention to you yesterday. Me and Declan talked a lot about this yesterday because we were literally working last night and we get the notification on Marjorie Taylor Greene. And as we're preparing for that video, we start talking about the mom. I was like, "Have you seen the issue tonight at the White House?" And he's like, "What?" And starts watching it. This is complete 180. I don't, and I think I know why. And I read a comment in one of the videos that I watched today. I think that President Trump is being all nice and cuddly and wanted to portray that to media so that there would be no deniability when he starts denying Mamdani funding. When he starts telling Mamdani, your policies are not going to work. I'm not going to fund them, even though he looked media in the eye. He looked all of his advisors and outraged Republicans on the Hill and said, I'm going to do everything I can to make Mamdani one of the best mayors the city has ever seen. I didn't think about that last night because I got so wrapped up in the fact. I'm like, do they have him sedated? What the hell is going on? Like, this is not our press. This is not. This is not what MAGA voted for. And I'm like, why is he like? And I was in this. I mentioned to Declan. I was helping a Thanksgiving in a box fundraiser this morning, and I'm on Instagram on the way there, and I saw a reel. It gets you somebody who looks like Trump looks like at Mamdani, and I sent that to my girl. I was like, is that the way I look at you? Like it's ridiculous. It was complete 180. I had no idea that this was going to happen. And I think that's why. I think the president is going to start backing up and saying, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! You saw that interview on the 21st of November. I pledged my full set support, even though me and him don't agree on. I think he. You heard him yesterday. He was like, I think he really wants to get rid of crime. I think we agree on a lot more. I think he's going to surprise a lot of conservatives, and I think that's where he's going with that."
Sure. It's kind of funny. Mamdani was asked a question by the media of something along the lines of, yeah, after this meeting, do you still agree with the statement that Trump is your previous statements that Trump is a fascist?
I want to ask the mayor-elect about a House resolution just passed overwhelmingly to condemn socialism, including with 86 Democrats, all of House Dem leadership, and the Minority Leader, Hakeem Jeffries, despite his endorsement of you. What's your reaction to that?
I have to be honest with you, I focused very little on resolutions. Frankly, I've been focusing.
Condemn socialism.
I understand. I think the focus is on the work at hand. I can tell you I am someone who is a democratic socialist. I've been very open about that. And I know there might be differences about ideology, but the place of agreement is the work that needs to be done to make New York City affordable. That's what I look forward to.
And I want to clarify your answer to Stephen Nelson. He asked about your comment calling the president a fascist, and your answer was, both President Trump and I have been clear about our positions and our views. Are you affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist?
I've spoken about.
That's okay. You can just say
Okay.
yes.
All right.
Okay. It's easier. It's easier than explaining it. I don't mind.
And Mr. President, I wanted to ask you also about.
And Trump was just like, no, 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 you don't have to answer that. You can just say, it's easier than explaining. It's, I, I think that to me, I may be reading too deep into it, but I think that's a big Freudian slip because like most people like aren't okay with being called a fascist.
Eh, Do you want my honest perspective? Do you want me to be honest?
Hit me.
I think you are reading a little too deep in it, and I'll tell you why. First of all, I don't even think Trump knows what a fascist is. I think because he touches on, genuinely, he touches on earlier in that conversation, previously to that comment. Uh, oh, they had asked Mamdani, you called him a not a douchebag, something, the despo, a despo. You call him a despo, and he's ruining this country. And he's like, "Do you still stand by that?" But previously to the fascist statement, and Trump goes, I've been called much worse. So if he wants to call me that, that's fine." Like he considers all of these insults the same. He thinks people are just throwing out names out of the hat to call him because they don't like his policies or they don't like him, and he's just like, "Well, I got the vote, so it doesn't matter. Call me whatever you want." He's not processing. Oh, and also on the other hand, we've had people who come out fine. Let him be a fascist. Let him be a dictator. The comment a couple months ago of him saying, some people really want a dictator. Like, I think people genuinely on the right are not outraged as long as he's continuing to influence them and make the people think that he's doing what they want him to do. He doesn't care what he's being called. And I think that was just I think not progressives. Yeah, I think progressives and liberals are going to look at this and say, "Oh my gosh, have you seen this? He's literally agreeing to being a fascist." And I think people on the right and independents, people in the middle of the pack are just going to be like, "It's the president. He always makes jokes." And I
Yeah.
don't think real people are gonna. Excuse me, I don't mean to say real people, but people with realistic ideals and people who genuinely know what's going on in this country. I don't think they're really gonna dive into that as much as we do.
Yeah. We're running out of time, folks, so we're gonna wrap this up. All I gotta say about Trump and Donnie's meeting, just with Trump in general, is my grandmother has Alzheimer's, and a lot of the same qualities that she has relating to her memory are the same qualities that Trump has. That's all I gotta say to that. Uh, we have a new format of 12 takes. We will be doing more of a kind of more personal interview style, kind of ask people about their life, why they like politics, why they're interested in politics. Yeah. So we will be doing two of those every week, and we will do two of the old format episode where we kind of discuss current events every month. Those won't be scheduled. Those are just kind of like as we see fit. Uh, on the 24th, potentially, we don't know. Obviously, things could still change. But Isaiah's going to do a sit down interview with friend and good colleague Violet Campbell in Georgia. So that's going to be fun. And on the 25th of December, so Christmas, we will release a Christmas special that we're thinking we're just going to have a few of kind of our good friends on who are also pretty politically savvy. It's going to be a pretty fun four-way episode. So, yeah, that's it. Thank you, Merrick, for your time. If there's anything else you want to say, we should make it quick because we have less than a minute left.
For sure. I just wanted to tidy up. Yeah. So watch out for that interview coming on Monday the 24th. Me and Violet Campbell, Chief of Staff, we're going to be sitting down. We're a sit-down interview. She's going to be asking me a lot of different questions about the coalition and plans moving forward. But yeah, we're so excited to be back, guys. Thank you guys so much. Declan Meyer, we thank you for being here with us tonight. Isaiah Randolph, 12 takes. We'll see you guys next week.